Alrighty, hey guys, today we're going to compare two sick skateboards, so stay tuned to find out what happens. Alrighty, welcome back to Ben Buckler Boards. So today we have a special treat for you. We will be comparing the Flux Motion skateboard versus the Lacroix Lonestar. We love both of these brands and the guys at Ben Buckler Boards love riding them. So one of the main things we do when we take on new brands is we test them out. So this is what the team is stoked to be doing today. Testing it out, looking at the specs, and just hopefully sharing with you what these boards are all about to help you make your decision when you purchase one of these electric skateboards. These are the Ducks Nuts, the best of the best. They are expensive, but they are worth it. And so that's what we're going to be showing you today. And the riders, well, one of them you know is Duncan. He has been with us for years. He has years of riding experience, and his new favourite board is now the Flux Motion. We've also brought in Anthony from the Sydney Electric Skateboarders group. He's been riding since 2017. He owns this Lacroix Lonestar. He's had it for 6 months now. So he's a fairly accomplished rider, and those two guys will be putting them through their paces and showing you what happens. Quick recap, so what's happening out there, guys?
So I definitely feel like the Lacroix has more instant power. It's good, just more torque. The motors are bigger, so that's, yeah. At the start, I couldn't catch up with him, even though I'm a bit heavier. So we swapped the boards, and me, the heavy one on the Lacroix, I still beat him, the light one on the Flux at the start, because it's just more power. He was beating me more when the light one was on the powerful board, but you know, we can still tell. It's pretty cool, yeah.
So just so I'm clear, like the Lacroix is, when you're on the Lacroix, you're able to beat Anthony on the Flux.
Yeah, I think just by a little bit, right?
Yeah, just by a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that
This much.
I think definitely the weight of the rider plays a big difference,
yeah,
as well as the actual setup and the gearing in terms of like the motor pulleys and whatnot. But the good thing about both boards is that you can adjust the actual pulleys, so you can make it more torquey,
yeah,
more top speed.
Yeah.
So that's the good advantage of them both.
So what you're saying is that you're leaving room there that the Flux could ultimately beat the
yeah, you can change the pulleys, yeah, and have, it's just the Lacroix motors are one size bigger, so I guess that plays a role.
Oh, play a huge role, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the weight plays a massive. I didn't think weight would matter that much, but how heavy are you? 70? 60. I'm 95.
That makes a big difference.
35 kilos more.
I'm not saying you're big or anything, Duncan, but you know, you are 50% more. So. Alright, so Duncan was just saying then it's hard to tell. The Flux beat him that time. So I guess what he's saying is that if you are a heavier kind of person, a heavier rider, then consider going to the Lacroix. If you want to beat other riders, that is. in a drag race. Alright, so he's doing a turning circle test on the Flux and the Lacroix. Basically going around in circles in the car park. That looks pretty sharp. We're gonna have to check on the drone to see what kind of a circle he did. I'm on the cycle board. Let's see what kind of turning circle I can do. We'll see. We'll see, the slower you go, the smaller turning circle you can do. Whoa! Let's focus on this peak. It's actually more difficult than it looks to do a tight turning circle.
In the head-to-head comparison, the Lonestar came out ahead. And then we switched over. I rode the Flux and Duncan rode the Lacroix, and then I managed to edge him out on the Flux. Not by much though. Personally, I think it comes down to the like rider weight. I mean, I'm like 60 something kilos, Duncan's like 95 kilos. So that does play a big part in it. Also the fact that, you know, running the motor pulleys, that can have a big difference on what pulleys you put on there as well. That affects the torque, affects the top range. If you want to get more torque out of your board, then you run like a lower tooth pulley, which Ben sells. But overall, I think that both boards are good, like in their respective categories.
Yeah, I was really impressed. I think the reason why Anthony could like catch up to me or have a little bit more startup power than me when I was on the Lonestar is because I was scared of the instant torque. It felt, just as a feeling, it definitely feels like the Lonestar accelerates faster, right?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
So I reckon it's, well, the motors are much bigger on the Lonestar, so I guess that's a big factor. And yeah, as he said, the weight is a huge factor because I'm much heavier than him. I'm 95 kilos and he's around 60. I didn't think he was going to play that big of a weight, I guess, but yeah, it did. And no, yeah, both boards are awesome. Did you feel much of a difference in the turning capabilities?
Yes. So I have my board set up on like the softest bushings.
Yeah.
So just because of my ride weight. So I find that for my setup, I'm running blues on the front and yellow bushings on the back, and it lets me carve like it's a surfboard. Like it's great. I think the Flux is running the stock orange block.
Orange blocks, yeah, which is medium.
Which is good too. I mean, you get really good stability when you want to go fast, so it's not a bad thing at all.
Yeah. With my weight, I felt like Anthony's board was a bit too loose. It felt a bit wobbly. I think, we'll check the footage, but I felt that the turning circle was still a bit smaller on the Flux, because I guess the trucks are a bit less wide. The hyper trucks are really, really wide, and I feel even on the lowest bushings, you've got a lot of lean and a lot of carve, but the turning radius is a little bit bigger on the Lacroix still. That's what I felt. We'll have to check the footage to make sure I'm not talking shit, but yeah.
So if you were deciding between a Lacroix and a Flux, how would you decide?
Well, the Lacroix has all proprietary parts. Like they made their own ESCs, the Storm Course. They made their own trucks. The hyper trucks are like super high end, like decks and enclosure. And the Flux has a bit more of off-the-shelf parts. They're using BKB Zenith, which is really great ESC, but it's just available to everyone. They're using MBS trucks, which are really good as well. And then they design their own battery PCBs and deck and enclosure. The Flux is cheaper for sure, and you get quite a bit of range. If you compare the Flux to the Nazare, you get definitely more range on the Flux, but the price is quite similar. If you compare the Flux to the Lonestar, you get a bit more range on the Lonestar, but not by much. I reckon you'd get 80 Ks out of the Flux. And how many kilometers did you get out of your Lonestar?
Lonestar, I've taken it up to about 105 kilometers.
Yeah,
That's
so
incredible.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
So that's, you know, if you want the best of the best, the precision trucks and everything, you go for the Lacroix. If you have the money, the Lacroix is definitely a more premium product. If you're just looking for a stable board that's got speed and range and more affordable, I guess like the Flux is awesome.
Yeah, definitely. I'd agree with Duncan.
Yeah.
Like I think the Lacroix just has that extra level of refinement. When you ride it, you can feel yourself being like locked into the actual deck. Like it's a great design. The Flux, it's nice too. But if I had to choose, I'd go for the Lonestar. If the money wasn't an object. Otherwise, if I was like price conscious, then the Flux represents really good value for money.
Yeah, it's probably, yeah. Well said.
That's it. I don't think we can say anything else.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks so much.
Now
Thank
we're
you.
just gonna.
We want to tell you everything about the specs of these boards, so we're going to go through it in a little bit of detail. Ask us questions in the comments if you're not too sure if we've covered it, but let's step through it. So let's talk about the motors. Oh, we've got two here. So Duncan is a resident expert in Lacroix and now the Flux. So from my understanding, this looks like the Lacroix motor and this is the Flux motor. Can you tell us a bit more about these?
Yep. So they're very similar. You can obviously see the Lacroix ones is a bit bigger, which means they will output a bit more power.
So the Lacroix is going to output more power?
Yeah, I'm fairly sure this is 4,500 watts and this is 3,500. And there's two of each on the boards. Honestly, I don't think we felt it on the actual boards.
Oh yeah? They
Well,
felt the same?
I mean, I guess the Lacroix had more acceleration.
But it also had a bigger battery that was pushing through a lot more energy, right?
It's batteries are quite similar actually, so it's really close, honestly.
Do you remember what the cells are in each battery?
Yeah, so the Flux has a 12S11P. They're smaller cells. They're the 18650, I think. Yeah, but there's more of them.
Right.
Compared to the Lonestar, which has bigger cells, the 2700, which are probably multi cells, I think, and it's a 12S 10P. In practice, I think it's a bit better to have more cells, because then you have less sag on the low end of the battery.
Right.
But these two boards have so much range that the sag is really not an issue.
Okay.
There's an 80 kilometer expected range on the Flux and around 120 on the Lonestar, which is crazy.
Right. Okay. So big range in the Lacroix. And how did the Nazare range compare to the Flux?
So the Nazare is around 35-40 kilometers, so it's probably roughly half the range of the Flux.
Yep. Okay.
So that's why we're comparing the Flux to sort of both Lacroix, because it's a bit of an in-between. The same kind of power, but the battery is in between the two of those.
Okay. Top speed then?
Top speed, even though this is a factor that can change depending on what wheels you have, what gear ratios. On the day we tested the boards, the Lonestar had a 16 teeth motor pulley with a 72 teeth wheel pulley, which is a 4.5 gear ratio. And fun fact, the Flux had the exact same gear ratio, 4.5 as well, except it was just a bit different, where the motor pulley was 15 teeth and the wheel pulley was 68. But the gear ratios were exactly the same. The Flux wheels are 200 millimeters, 8-inch, and the Lacroix wheels were a little bit smaller, 190, which would give the Lacroix a bit more acceleration. But yeah, so expected top speed on the stock will be around 50 kilometers per hour for both boards.
Oh, about the same?
Yeah, about the same.
After all that. So if you stay with those gear ratio things, then, well, that's all the detail that you get there. So thanks for that, Duncan. The ESCs. So we've even got them here for you to show you. This is the Stormcore 60D ESC. This is the one that's in the Lacroix, Nazare and Lonestar?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet.
So this the 60D, this one, yeah, Nazare and Lonestar. In the new Super Sport, it will be 100D, so the same one, but red. That can go higher voltage.
Right. And then this, by comparison, is the ESC that was in the Flux.
The Zenith.
Okay.
by BKB. It's a little bit smaller. Yeah, just a bit smaller. It's different.
A little bit thinner.
Yeah, different fabrication. A lot of metal everywhere, just on both of these to act as a heatsink.
Right.
Yeah, they're both great. It's just a different manufacture process, I guess. This is basically a new unity, and the Stormcore has been developed fully by Lacroix in-house.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. There's the ESCs. Ask in the comments if you've got any questions about those ESCs and how they compare. Next thing, I'll jump onto the remotes. So this is the remote for the Flux, and then here is the Hoyt puck remote you get with the Lacroix. Do you get this Hoyt puck with the Nazare and the Lonestar?
Yep.
In the Super Sport?
Yep.
In actual fact, you were saying there's an option here where you can get Hoyt puck with a knob.
With a little nub on the top, yeah. Some people prefer that. Some people prefer the just rounded edge.
Okay.
It's just a matter of personal preference.
Okay.
And
Cool.
yeah, and the Flux has got the, I think it's Flip Sky VX1,
Right.
which is, you know, it's a good remote. It holds in hand. It's similar. It's really, yeah. Both of these are a thumb wheel process. The Hoyt puck is known to be a bit more reliable in areas where there's lots of radio interference.
Right.
But yeah.
So potentially a bit more reliable, this Hoyt puck.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Good to know when you're doing 50 kilometers per hour.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right. So what else have we got on the list? Oh, so additional features. So the Lacroix comes with front headlights.
Yeah. So for the price of the Nazare or the Lonestar, you get the Lacroix front lights included. You can buy additional backlights. I think they're around $150. The Flux out of the box doesn't have any lights, but they do have a very good lighting system that's integrated and really easy to install. It's just a plug into the battery, and yeah, they're very good lights, but it's around $300 extra.
Okay.
Honestly, it's worth it, but it's just to come into consideration if you're comparing both boards for the price. Know that you get lights with the Lacroix, and you have to add some money.
Headlight with the Lacroix.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Trucks. So let's take a quick look at these. Whoa, my goodness. So this is the Lacroix truck.
The Hyper Trucks.
Hyper truck. And this is the Flux truck.
Yeah, so these are the MBS Matrix 2.
MBS Matrix 2. Duncan's actually got this in oil slick
Yeah,
rainbow, which looks pretty cool.
It's pretty.
So
It's
there you
pretty
can
awesome.
see how the two trucks compare in terms of width.
Yeah, so the Hyper Trucks are a bit larger. And again, the MBS Matrix 2 was something that existed before. And it, you know, Flux just, because of it's reliable and it's a good quality product, they decided to use this to build the boards. Whereas Lacroix designed
this themselves.
one,
Right.
from the ground up. It's all CNC machined. Very,
really
very cool stuff.
Interesting the way they've inbuilt these gaps inside the truck here.
Yeah, to save some weight. And well, you'll see this in the actual test, but my personal opinion is I felt I was still a little bit more stable on these at high speed.
Right.
I still get a little bit of wobbles on the Matrix 2, which are really, they're manageable. You can recover from a little bit of wobbles at 45 km an hour, but with these you just don't feel them.
Right.
The downside is the Hyper Trucks have a little bit bigger turning circle.
Right.
You can still carve really good, but if you're gonna turn a tight corner, you're gonna have better luck with the Matrix 2.
Okay.
So it's all about balancing high speed.
And would it have to do with the bushings in the Lacroix as well?
Yeah, you could. So Anthony had really soft bushings and the on his Hyper Trucks, and we had the medium orange shock blocks on the Matrix.
Right.
And that made the boards really similar in terms of turning.
Right.
But yeah.
Okay. Well, there you
Good
see
stuff.
the difference between most of the components of the board. So I hope that was helpful. Let us know if you've got any more questions about that. Anything else from you, Duncan?
I don't think so. I'm just checking my list. We're all good.
We just want to make sure it's a conclusive thing. Oh, what about deck length? Which deck is longer?
I believe the Lacroix Dex is just a little bit longer, and the Flux deck is tiny bit wider. We'll put the numbers on the screen.
All right, so I hope you enjoyed that more in detailed description of the specifications for both of those boards. I hope that helps you make up your mind when it comes to purchasing one of those two boards. And we're here to help as always and distributing all around Australia. So take care, guys. Ride safe.
Cheers.